In this unit, I will introduce you to scales. We need to talk about the different types of unit of measurements that we have. That includes the imperial system and the metric system. And within the imperial system, we have two main scales, the engineer scale and the architect scale. In the United States, we use imperial units. That includes the inch and the foot system. In Europe and the military, they use the metric system. The metric system is a little easy to understand just because we're familiar with breaking down one unit into tenths. In here we have this ruler that has broken down these units in centimeters. So we have 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters here. And each one of these centimeters is broken down in 10 units. And each one of these units represents 1 millimeter. Note that the conversion between the millimeters and the inch is 25.4 millimeters equals 1 inch. If we were looking at centimeters, we would have 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. Now, the inch, on the other hand, is subdivided into 16 equal spaces. The reason for that is that it is easier to break fractions into halves. For example, half of 1 equals half of that equals a quarter of an inch, half of a quarter of an inch equals an eighth, half of that a 16th, half of that a 32nd, half of that a 64th, and you can continue on like that. It's not as easy to break decimals in halves. For example, if I was to say half of 1 is 0.5, half of that is 0.25, half of that is 0.125, half of that can get a little tricky. And let's remember that 1 foot equals 12 inches. The purpose of the scale is to allow an engineer, architect, technician, or contractor to determine scaled measurements from drawings or maps very quickly and easily. Now, drawings and maps are usually drawn to different scales, such as 1 inch equals 100 feet, 1 inch equals 1 foot, or 1 to 2, which means that's half a size. An engineer scale is used to draw things such as bridges, roads, buildings, any type of infrastructure, any type of civil drawings. Because those scales are typically very large and they include huge sections of land. Typically, these scales are expressed as 1 inch equals 100 feet, 1 inch equals 20 feet, 30 feet, 40, 50, 60 feet, etc. And the most important thing that we need to remember about the engineer scale is that it subdivides an inch into tenths. Okay, and so whenever we read a ruler in engineer scale, we read it as a decimal. So answers for engineer scale will be 70.5 feet, for example. The unit of measurement used by architects is the foot. They break down the foot into inches and then inches into fractions of an inch. Therefore, they no longer use the decimal system like engineers do. Architects are involved in large-scale projects as well as smaller-scale projects, but they still use the foot-inch system. Many structural engineer details are read using the architect scale. So examples of architectural scales are a quarter of an inch equals a foot, or 3 inches equals a foot. It just depends on how big the paper is in relationship to the project.